Hello my dear students. So in this session we are going to start with the kingdom fungi. In the last session we have completed the kingdom protista. The kingdom protista includes 5 major groups, that is Chrysophyta, Chrysophyta and then euglenoids and then dinoflagellates and then slime molds and protozoans. So all these we have studied, we have learned in the last 2 sessions. So and also I would like to mention here the protozoans. It again includes 4 more classification: the flagellated, ciliated and then sporozoans. So protozoans include amoeboid protozoans, ciliated protozoans, flagellated protozoans and sporozoans. So in the sporozoans we gave one example of Plasmodium. Plasmodium is a malarian parasite which causes diseases. The diseases will be in the form of staggering disease. We used to call that disease those who are suffering from the parasite known as Plasmodium. The Plasmodium is a sporozoan. So and also in the slime molds we again come across one more Plasmodium species. Actually it is the aggregation of under favorable condition, the aggregation of slime molds are known as Plasmodium. Don't get confused with these two Plasmodiums. So with this we will move on to the next kingdom, the kingdom fungi. First we will understand the habitat, characters, reproduction and does it have any uses or is this fungi causing diseases. First we will understand that, later we will move on to the classification of kingdom fungi. So the kingdom fungi kingdom fungi. Let me start with the habitat of kingdom fungi. Where do you find the kingdom fungi? Most commonly fungi can be seen in the homes, at homes. How it is easily cultivated, grown in the home, at home itself. How come? So if you have bread at home, just keep as it is. After 15 days or 20 days, the fungi, the small like cushion like surface grows on the breads or the rotten fruits. So those are nothing but fungi. Maybe the bacteria also grows on the bread molds and rotten fruits. So by studying the characters of that organism, we can come to know most common organism grows on bread mold and rotten fungi are rotten fruits are fungi. Okay, so we'll start the studying the habitat of kingdom fungi. The kingdom fungi, like, don't imagine fungi are very bad, it causes diseases to the man or the plant. Some useful organisms are also there, some useful fungi are also present in the world, on the earth. Those useful fungi can be used in the preparation of bread and beer and also it has been used in the preparation of antibiotics. That fungi is known as penicillium. Okay, so we will list out the characteristic features first. The organisms are heterotrophic. For the food and nourishment, the fungi depends on other organism. It is not going to produce any kind of food and all. It is not a photosynthetic organism. it is not a producer or it is not a autotrophic organism, it is a heterotrophic organism seen in everywhere in sense, let me write that word, it is cosmopolitan in nature. Cosmopolitan in nature in sense, it is seen, it is found everywhere, like in the air, in the water, in the soil, and also in animals and plants. It is available, it is found, it has the ability to grow on any of the organisms in sense, in any of the plants or animals, and it is found in air, water and soil. Okay, so the next character of the fungi is, these fungi, as I told you, some are harmful fungi present, some are useful fungi are also there on the earth. You might have seen in some places damp soils or damp places, shady places, an umbrella like structure growing on that damp soils or shady places. Can you imagine what is that? Most of you may like this food or you may like this organism. This is known as mushroom. Do you imagine, can you tell to which kingdom it belongs to? It is not a plant, not an animal, it is a fungi. Yes, my dear students, some fungi are edible in sense it can be used in the form of food. Okay, some are toadstools. Not all mushroom or not all toadstools. Toadstools means somewhat it grows on the damp or rock surfaces or soil surfaces or any other tree trunks. So these are the fungi. These are nothing but, or this comes under the kingdom fungi, or it is known as a fungi. Some, not all mushrooms or not all toadstools are edible. They may be a poisonous one. Okay, so don't eat the mushrooms which is available to your nearby places or any in any damp soils or any shady places. Just if you have a confirmation like, so yes, you can edible, then only you have much knowledge of defining that organism, that organism character, then only you can have that mushroom or toadstools, or else don't take risks. Okay, so mushrooms, toadstools comes under are the fungi. Some of them are edible and some are poisonous. Okay, so this point you have to remember, not only in kingdom fungi but also in your daily life. So you have to know you have to have the knowledge of defining which mushroom is edible, which mushroom is poisonous. So if you have that knowledge, then only you can eat the mushroom, or else don't take risk. Okay, so we'll move on to the next concept. The next character, we used to store the food materials in refrigerator, right? Why so? Just now I told you, the food, any type of food, it may get spoiled, How come it gets spoiled? How can we define the food has spoiled? Because these kind of organisms like fungi or bacteria kind of organisms grows on that food so that it become soil. To avoid that spoiling, we have to what? We used to refrigerate it. We used to preserve it by keeping in this kind of instrument known as refrigeration. Under such temperature, the fungi or bacteria do not grow. Okay. The next is harmful bacteria. Harmful bacteria or poisonous bacteria are known as like fungi. No, sorry, no, not a bacteria. I should not take the word bacteria because we are in the kingdom fungi. So some fungi are harmful. They causes diseases. For example, the fungi like Puccinia. This fungi grows on the wheat plant and there it causes diseases. It destroys that wheat plant. Okay, so as we mentioned here, they are cosmopolitan. The fungi grows in plants also. So one example of such fungi which is growing in the plant, that fungi is Puccinia. And you might have seen the Puccinia, it is a fungi grows in the wheat plant. Okay, you might have seen the mustard leaf. Mustard plant leaf, how it will be, somewhat it will be, and it is in a green color. If you find any white patches on the leaf of mustard, it is nothing but the fungi. Yes, my dear students, the fungi, it also destroy the mustard plant. So these are the few examples we are taking here. We are not going to such a long explanation. So we are giving the disease causing fungi. Some of plant get affected by such kind of fungi, and some of the fungi infects the mustard plant. For example, in the mustard plant, if you have seen the mustard plant, if it has a white patches on it, it is nothing but fungi. And not all fungi are harmful. Some fungi are edible, as like mushroom, and also the fungi like yeast. It has been used in the preparation of bread and beer, in the preparation of alcohols, in the preparation of bread or cake, the fungi is used. So this fungi is known as, the fungi name is yeast. Yeast is an unicellular organism. Unicellular organism. This is the only one organism which is in the form of a single cell, and all other organisms will be in a filamentous form. That what is that filamentous? I'll tell you in short. So these are the useful fungi. One more useful fungi is there. It is known as penicillium. This penicillium, it has been used as antibiotics. Penicillium antibiotics, the name itself saying the penicillium antibiotic, penicillium fungi used as an antibiotic. Antibiotic in sense which fight against the harmful microorganism. Don't consider all fungi are harmful and disease causing. Some are useful and it also increases the economic value. Okay. So the next is, after all the characters of studying all the characters of fungi, kingdom fungi, we'll move on to the structure, how it looks, how the fungi looks. So just concentrate it because it's little bit, it has more explanation. Except yeast, I let me write here, except yeast. It means living this yeast organism, the fungi is long, slender, tube-like and filamentous. It means what? So this line is going to describe the structure of fungi. Except yeast, the fungi is long, slender, tube-like and filamentous. So this is the only one filamentous form I have written here, I have drawn here. Consider this is the structure of fungi. Okay. So this long tube-like structure, if this long tube-like structure, cytoplasm, it got filled by the cytoplasm. If it has number of nuclei in it, if the tube filled with nucleus, this type of fungi known as cenocytic. Okay, so what do you call this tube, long tube, slender like filamentous form? It is known as hyphae. It means this is one, this structure is there, no? This is one hyphae. This is one hyphae. Hyphae. So this is one hyphae, one more hyphae. A long tube-like slender filamentous structure is hyphae. Maximum of the fungi will be like this. Okay, and this number of like one hyphae I have drawn here, one more hyphae will be there, one more. Number of hyphae get like they grow, they start germinating on the suitable substratum. It looks like, if you have seen the bread mold, you might have seen that a number of like this structure, maybe it appears somewhat like this, black color or white color. So that cluster is known as, that cluster is nothing but one particular one tube thread like structure is known as hyphae. The network of hyphae is known as mycelium. Don't forget this word, mycelium. So this mycelium, if this mycelium or particular one hyphae, like for example, we cannot differentiate the hyphae or the mycelium, like if it doesn't have, if for example if we are talking about one species of fungi, all the mycelium or all the hyphae will be similar. For example, we are talking about the mucor here. Mucor is a species of fungi. So this mucor, if it is growing on the rotten fruits or some other organism, all the hyphae will appear similar. It's not like one hyphae is having number of nucleus and one more hyphae having some other structure. It is not like that. All the hyphae will be similar in appearance. Okay, so with the description, by taking the description of mycelium, so hyphae is only one strand. Number of strand together form that network of hyphae is known as mycelium. Okay, so this hyphae, if this hyphae or if the cytoplasm of this hyphae filled with number of nucleus, it is known as cenocytic hyphae. Cenocytic hyphae without cross walls. No cross walls. Where will be the cross wall? Cross wall will be here itself. Okay, like this, like this. Okay, so this you have to call as a cross wall in the hyphae. If any of the cross walls are not present, those kind of hyphae or those kind of fungi is known as aseptate. Aseptate. A means absent of septa. Septa. Septa means what? Literally it is known as cross wall, where number of nucleus are present. Those fungi or those hyphae will be called as aseptate. There will be no there will be not having the cross walls. Okay, so what we have to draw here, we have to show only the nucleus, not the septa. So one hyphae filled with what? Filled with nucleus, cytoplasm and nucleus. That type of hyphae is known as cenocytic and aseptate. Aseptate means not having any cross walls. Okay, some more hyphae are there. One more kind, like I'll draw here. Here I'll draw. Some of the hyphae, they'll be having a cross walls. Those hyphae having cross walls are known as cross walls, or septa are known as septae. Septa having cross wall. Cross walls means inside the long tube-like slender tube-like filamentous. If it is having a side walls or cross walls, those mycelium are known as septate. We cannot call this as cenocytic. In one cross wall only one nucleus will be present. We cannot call that as cenocytic. Cenocytic is known as having number of nucleus without cross walls. Okay, so next is, as we mentioned in the first character, like these are heterotrophic. So heterotrophic, I am going to describe here. There are three types of fungi. In your NCERT book, they have given three types of mode of nutrition. Based on the mode of nutrition, we can differentiate the fungi into three types. One is saprophyte. Second one is parasites, grows on animals and plants, and one more is symbionts. Okay, so what do you mean by saprophyte or parasite or symbionts? These are nothing but having different type of fungi based on the mode of nutrition, based on how they are going to have consumed the food. They are truly dependent on other organism. Okay, so being on other organism, how they are going to suck the nutrition. On that basis, they have, in your NCERT book, they have differentiated the fungi into three. So don't consider that as a classification, just remember as it is. Saprophytic fungi are also there. This kind of fungi are going to absorb the soluble organic matter from the dead and decaying leaf or animals. So those kind of fungi are known as saprophytes. They are going to absorb means they are going to have their food absorb in the form of they are going to have their food as a soluble organic matter. They are going to absorb the soluble organic matter from the plants or animals. Those kind of fungi are known as saprophytic fungi, or they can classified as a saprophyte. What do you mean by parasite? Parasites are known as being in the host cell or being in the host organism. Consider this is one organism. Consider this as an animal or plant, whatever you can assume that. So this will become the host organism. If this is the host cell or host organism, animal or a plant organism. If the fungi enter inside that organism, what it will do? It will start absorbing the nutrition products of that organism. So what we used to call this organism now, this will become the host organism to this fungi. There it is going to absorb the nourishment, and it is not living as it is to that organism. When it start absorbing the nourishment, it will spread disease. That organism will be suffering from disease. Okay, so that kind of organism are known as that kind of absorbing the mode of the nutrition. Absorbing the nutrition it comes under a parasite. So some fungi are also present known as parasite, spreading disease. And some are symbionts. Symbionts means, if you have seen some of the cattle like cow or buffalo, any of the cattle, if you have seen on the cattle, on the body surface of the cattle, some cranes or some birds used to sit on the surface of the body of the cattle or cow or any of this organism. So when it start picking the some organisms on the body of the cattle, it won't do anything. That cattle will not react to that mechanism. Why so? Because that birds are going to pick the mites present on the surface of the cattle. So this bird is getting the food from the surface of the cattle, and that cattle is getting utilized from that bird. It is going to clean its surface from that bird. So this mechanism is known as symbiosis or symbionts. The same thing is going to happen in this classification. Symbionts is known as, it is nothing but mutual understanding. Some of the fungi they connect mutual understanding with the algae. They both together, they'll start live in the lichens. What is lichen? In the next class I'll teach you what is lichen, how the lichens grow. Just have the knowledge of lichen there itself, because in the next session I'll explain about the lichen. So, but in this lichen, this is the type of organism, a plant we can call it as. In this lichen, they both live together. This mutual understand is known as symbiosis. And also the fungi, it lives in the roots of higher plants. In the roots of higher plants like cycas, pinus, that type of higher plants, long trees, in that roots the fungi used to live. What it will do, being in the roots of higher plants, it will absorb the nutritious product from the soil and it will supply to the roots of higher plant, from which the fertility of the higher plant increases. And in the reverse, it will reward to the fungi. It will give space to live, to increase its number. Who? The higher plant. The higher plant is going shelter to the fungi, and also it is providing the food, and the fungi is supplying the organic material or inorganic material which is present in the soil. So this is known as symbiosis. Okay. Now coming to the reproduction part. It reproduces by means of three types. One is by means of vegetative, one more is asexual, and one more is sexual. Both these three type of reproduction takes place in kingdom fungi organism. Vegetative mode of reproduction is by means of fragmentation and fission and budding. Fragmentation, fission and budding. Fragmentation in sense, if any of the filament or if any of the hyphae get broken and fall on the suitable substratum, from the substratum it has the ability to grow a new hyphae, a new mycelium. That kind of reproduction is known as fragmentation, vegetative reproduction. Fission means some of the hyphae, they divide itself. Divide means if it is of hyphae, they cut at the middle part and get separate. These two hyphae form a new mycelium body. Okay, they won't ask you the explanation of all these, only I am describing here. So fission is dividing one fungi into two, and those two fungi develop and grows into new organism, new fungi body, and budding takes place in the yeast. So we have come across this budding type of reproduction in the chapter 1. So consider this is the yeast cell. So this is the unicellular organism. This yeast cell, they form a small bud-like structure. There it will be having all the organelles, nucleus, everything will be present, and it gives rise to a small bud-like structure. And after a complete development of this bud, it will get separate from the parent body, and it again this bud develop and grow, and it forms a new mature yeast fungi, yeast organism. Again from that yeast one more bud will form. So this is how the reproduction, it increases its number, it multiplies itself. So that this type of reproduction is known as budding. Okay, so asexual reproduction by means of formation of spores called conidia. What do you mean by spores? What do you mean by conidia? So conidia are sporangiospores or in the sporangium or in the zoospores. Let me draw the structure of conidia or sporangiospores. Consider one hyphae. Okay. So it forms a bulged structure at the anterior part of the hyphae. So this portion is known as sporangium. Sporangium in sense a pouch like. So in the pouch what we used to fill? We used to fill any kind of like or scale or any usable materials. So in this pouch, in this sporangium, the spores will be present. Okay, so these spores, it releases out from the sporangium, and each spore falls on the suitable substratum. There it grows up, there it gives rise to a new fungi body. So without involvement of male and female gamete, directly from the parent body, formation of sporangium. This is the sporangiophore. Okay, sporangiophore. This is sporangium, and these are the spores, or they have given one particular name to the spore known as conidia or sporangiospores or zoospores. So in three names they have given. Why they have given in a three names? Some of the fungi forms conidia, some of the fungi forms sporangiospores, some of the fungi forms zoospores. So zoospores literally means having flagella, or they can move by itself. They are having flagella so that they can move by using those flagella from one place to other place. So this mode of reproduction is known as asexual mode of reproduction. Okay. One more is there, that is sexual mode of reproduction. In the sexual mode of reproduction, it forms by means of, like, let me tell you from the beginning. Consider here one hyphae is there, one more hyphae is there. Maybe fusion of protoplasm takes place, maybe fusion of nuclei is going to take place. So what I am going to tell you, my concept is we are studying the reproduction of kingdom fungi or fungi organisms. The fungi also reproduce by means of sexual. How they get contact with one another? The one hyphae and one more hyphae, they form a conjugation or they form a bridge like structure. From here to here it passes the nucleus or the protoplasm, and when it receives, this particular hyphae receives the one nucleus from this hyphae, this becomes the diploid one now. So from this diploid structure, after the passing of the nucleus, the bridge get dissolved, and this hyphae now it is having two nucleus, or we can call it as diploid structure. So this diploid structure forms a structure or a fruiting body. From the fruiting body it gives rise to spores, and those spores when releases from the fruiting body it gives rise to, or it germinate into a new fungi structure. So sexual mode of reproduction is by means of fusion of protoplasm, fusion of nuclei of two hyphae. Fusion of protoplasm is known as plasmogamy. Fusion of nuclei is known as karyogamy. Plasmogamy and it is karyogamy.